You'd think the end of the world is upon us. Last weekend, it was Dineo that held us hostage in our homes. Tomorrow, there's an eclipse, and thousands of fish have washed up dead at Lake Arnop. The whole world seems to be losing its collective mind. Thank you for joining me for this first episode of It's a Wrap, our brand new, homegrown show where I unpack the week's current affairs for you, based on the popular stories broadcast daily on our news flash, as well as social commentary from right here in the land of the brave. So this week in Namibia, the people are baying for blood. They want land. Crime is getting outrageous. Justice has proved complex and harder to come by, and people are expressing their frustration by beating each other up. And a white man saved the day. Yo! It's been quite a weekend now. Now, Dineo could actually have had some very serious repercussions. 7 people actually lost their lives, and more than 50 were injured in the areas where it hit the hardest. But there Namibians were, comedians creeping out of every nook and cranny, even renaming her Dinelao Kama. Check out the updates and the tweets that made the rounds on social media. Admittedly, whilst having made no prior preparations, I too was actually excited, waiting with a bated breath for the roof to fly off and all the windows to shatter. I consumed all the information making its rounds on social media and the internet. I even watched Doomsday Preppers, trying to get some tips on how I would supposedly survive. There were very few people taking the warning seriously, and I wonder how many people actually heeded the calls for emergency preparation. I read instructions like how we should ensure to have ready-to-eat food and drink and candles and other supplies to get us through at least 24 hours. I did none of the above. I just stayed hopefully up at those clouds, waiting to see signs of mayhem in the skies. I think the only person who took this warning seriously was this Damara uncle.
Awens kaga ko was ke Namibia na dai pentes nou en Namibia benekat. Awens laat weet julle se families daar by die huise, laat weet almal. Laat die mense hardloop huise toe. Stop die lorries. Gaan gee die boere hulle se lorries terug. Hardloop huis toe laat ons familie loop kry.
I also got a notice which provided just 3 cell phone numbers for residents to keep themselves abreast of Dineo's movements. One was for the Met services, lest I had a desire to inquire about the temperatures. One for disaster risk reduction, and the last one for hydrological services, just in case I was wondering about the levels in the dams. 300,000 plus residents in the city, and 3 cell phone numbers. We can just count our lucky stars that Dineo did not unleash her wrath here, and that it wasn't the end of the month, because you know most how the network goes at the end of the month. Still, I was wondering just like what services would be available to us should we fall victim to a natural disaster. And I asked our mayor, Mwethe Kadhapwa, to enlighten us on this. How prepared is the city?
No, the city is prepared.
Robert, are you ready?
We do have the disaster management policy in place, and probably our firefight colleagues who have been trained and some of the official and experts in disaster management, all the means in case if that happened to come. But then obviously we hope by the grace of God it haven't yet come, but obviously all the means are in place now.
So what would happen? What would happen? Like, how would we communicate? How would we inform people and let them know where to be? Do we have boats? Do we have helicopters? Do we have...
No, we might not necessarily have all the infrastructures, but if waste can come, obviously we have some facilities like Ramatex and other facilities where we can transport our people. I mean, we do have the capacity to deal with some of those issues in terms of challenges confronted us. But in terms of all the infrastructures, we might not say 100% we do have them in place. But in terms of prevention and emergency services, those are some of the means that are in place.
Thankfully, in the end, all we got was some much-needed rain and a few thunder showers. And on to another naturally induced disaster. The 824,292 square kilometers of land that accommodate the just over 2 million inhabitants of this country is truly a burning issue. A revolution started by the affirmative repositioning movement, spearheaded by one Joba Mupanda, has seen the birth of yet another group of disgruntled Namibians, the Landless People's movement, spearheaded by ex-Deputy Lands Minister Bernardo Swartboy. And no holds are being barred. President Geingob has requested Lands Minister Utoni Nuyoma, who Swartboy called an idiot in Parliament, to put the land bill on hold, but not without slipping in some shade.
Government has decided, because there is a lot of unnecessary demonstrations, people looking for reasons to demonstrate and cause disturbances in this country. We are seeing people are looking for platforms. They're using the question of land so that they can therefore apparently make the country ungovernable. They have been calling on Minister of Land to postpone the introduction or reintroduction of the land bill. Minister did say that it is dealing with basic important issues. But since people are looking for excuses to demonstrate, and being a democratically elected government which listens to people, I consulted the minister and asked him to not to table that bill and allow the people to come and make proposals that they are claiming they have, so that we can see whether the reasons are true or they are just made up to cause trouble by those failed politicians.
Yes, he said failed politicians. Swartboy wasn't going to take that. My homie Joseph captured the action.
Boy, on the other hand, could not come to terms with being called a failed politician.
Now they are trying to come after me, labeling me a failed politician. Where did I fail? Where did I fail? Everything I did, from NANSO to Sober Party Youth League to being governor, including to being deputy minister, I have never failed. There will be shortcomings, yes, but I've never failed. Those multimillionaires that are insulting the elders of this country that fought together with them, those multimillionaires who are in beautiful offices with their commercial farms, some of it paid off with foreign money, some of it paid off with money that we know how they got. Those multimillionaires, some of them that could not pay water and electricity 5, 6, 7 years ago, who today are multimillionaires, those ones are probably the failed politicians. They are the failed politicians. You don't become a failed politician because you are fired from a job. That's not how it works, Joseph.
Swartboy believes that there is an injustice being done by government unto those that were left landless during colonial times.
Do people decide to talk about landlessness because they want to cause disturbance and chaos? Because they want to disturb peace and stability? That's a stupid statement to make. How can a person who says, please, I don't have land, be accused of wanting to disturb peace and stability, of wanting to cause chaos? Only a stupid person will say that. Only a stupid person will conclude that a legitimate need, not even a want, a legitimate need of an ordinary person is something other than that need itself.
You know the president is annoyed when he pulls this face. If the president has so much land that he can even negotiate with the likes of Jack Huang to develop land large enough to house a hotel, 24 villas, a mansion, and 400 apartments, I understand why the people are miffed. It's as though they were playing Risk during the struggle and SWAPO members got to pick and choose the parts of the country they desired most and split that amongst themselves. There have been way too many reports of government officials acquiring vast areas of land dubiously, and the people are livid. We have had enough. Here are some insights from the nation. of Mr. Huang, it seems we Namibians have a very limited knowledge when it comes to understanding our own legal system. There was some outrage over the swift justice that the alleged Chinese national and confirmed friend of Hage Geingob, Jack Huang, received, with him being able to report to any police station weekly and also apparently being allowed to remain in possession of his passport so he could once more continue with his trip to Angola from Hosea Kutako International Airport, where he was apprehended just now. Apocalypse now! Really, Namibia? Chinese guy calls press conference. He alleges he has no other intention in the country but to see the economic prosperity, and Kama has no involvement in the country's politics. Check this out. I have come to ESI, where two lawyers have agreed to talk to me and unpack the legalities behind the situation.
There's a common misperception that bail, the process of bail, is to determine the guilt or innocence of an accused person. This is not what we're talking about. That's absolutely not what it's about. Okay. Baker very correctly pointed out that we all have the right to apply for bail. Nobody has the right to bail. And when the court is faced with an application by the applicant, that applicant bears the onus to show that they should be released on bail. Yes. Similarly, the state has an onus to show the court why that shouldn't be so. Now, what the court's going to look at, as I've already pointed out, is whether or not there are any chances of this accused person absconding, or whether they will in fact stand trial. What the court will then look at is, what are your interests here? Do you have any? What are your interests elsewhere? Do you have any? Do you have any emotional ties? Do you have any assets here? Do you have any businesses here? It isn't always fair. It should always be fair. It should always be just, but it isn't.
The reality is that depending on your financial position, the one who has got more money has access to more experienced, effective lawyers than the person who does not have money, or who does not have the financial means to do so. And we are not, I don't want to say that they are bad or good lawyers in Namibia. All I'm saying is that we know of lawyers that have become quite effective at what they do, and they do not come cheap. My concern base would be in the lower courts, where you will find that you have a very junior, not junior prosecutor, someone that has just finished university and is called upon to do a matter up against a lawyer or a defense lawyer who's got more than 20 years experience. And then you also have, in most cases, currently the majority of the magistrates are also fairly inexperienced, in the sense that they have not really they have not been practicing for a long time. There's a difference between qualification and experience. Experience you gain with a number of years to practice, and that is different.
In theory, it should work. We have all the legislation in place, and we can help the system. That is the system. But the cogs that are turning are rusty.
Well, there you have it, people. There is no justice. There's just us. Let's wait and see what happens with Mr. Huang. Residents of Rio Botha also up in arms over the town council's inability to provide services to its residents. My homie Joseph captured the action.
Last week I learned about the Health Act that's been passed by Parliament. If they must come to Rio Botha and look at Rio Botha will be disqualified as far as the Health Act is concerned, because we are so unhygienic in this town. People have to live in certain areas of this town with the sewage stunk that is there. And we, as the town council, is doing nothing about it. People is being admitted to hospital because of that that smell that is on their doorsteps. We that are supposed to give the services are not giving the services.
Fui, I can smell it. The question remains, why isn't the minister calling her people to order and making use of her powers to restore dignity to the people of Rio Botha? And in other news, from the South African State of the Nation address to the Swapo Party Youth League, from Keetmans to Katima, Syria to Soweto, our leaders appear to be sending a very clear message that violence is indeed the solution to dealing with issues. How I wish I was wrong. Although violence should never be encouraged, bravery to defend a good cause should indeed be celebrated. And so here is the story of my hero for the week, Stefan Mans, who bravely defended a woman from 3 Botsotsos. Check it out. The homie Isai produced this clip.
Stefan Mans was busy test driving a client's car when he came across a woman who almost got attacked by 3 robbers.
Now that is a man. And we sure could use a whole lot more of them.
I saw a woman that was in a panic, and I asked her what happened, and she said, no, 3 guys just tried to, I don't know, steal the vehicle or steal stuff in the vehicle. And then she told me the guys ran up the road, and I quickly just take a look there, and I didn't see anyone. Then I drove on a bit more, and when I got out of the vehicle I saw the 3 suspects, and at that time I wanted to phone city police to told them, listen, just come and get the guys. And yeah, I chased after them and the police didn't show up, and later on the guys got a bit agitated, and yes, that's when the video started.
Some comments from social media. More Namibians need to learn to stand together and fight this whole crime thing. Whilst the apples may not fall far from the trees, cider can be made from them. And who doesn't thrive and get deliriously drunk with joy in a safe environment? Speaking of cider, drinking in Namibia is a national hobby to say the least. But for the traffic department to make $5 million Namibian in traffic fines just in December is ridiculous. Please don't drink and drive, people. Life is precious. Let's take a look at some of the pictures of accidents around the country that have occurred just this past week.
Some of the people that come to this country, not always for good reasons, and I think a big problem with many Namibians is that we're a very friendly nation, and we get befriended by some pretty strange people sometimes, and we often get sort of the criminal element sometimes taking advantage of the fact of the friendship of Namibians. So what we're doing this week is we're having a look at a guy called Huang, who happens to be a business partner of the president. He's also a good friend of the Chief Inspector of Police, and basically he's now been arrested in connection with the $3.5 billion that's sort of gone missing, that's been laundered and disappeared into Chinese coffers. So we're really just having a look at that and pointing out the fact that we've got these unsavory elements coming to this country and taking advantage of our friendship, right up to the president level even.
Wow, my tongue is not working when there's good news happening in my country. Hey, my time. Let me clean you, my dear. We are no more going to change time in winter so we can wake up very early in the morning and come back late from work. Now it's gonna remain the same time like in summer, the way I like it. I like this summertime.
Ooh, the economy is not what it used to be. Even the Ministry of Finance is giving discounts to defaulters, and that is a sure sign of the tough economic times ahead. God bless us all. There is so much going on right now, and we really need to talk about it. Get these things off our chest. Otherwise, we all just implode. Talk to me. Spill that tea. Let me know what's going on in here and what you think about what's going on in the world. It is Friday night. Y'all have a great weekend. I'll catch you next week. It's a wrap.